Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay. This is going to be Game 2 featuring Todes, who is our red Zerg in the bottom left-hand side. I almost said Terran. I did. Speaking of Terran, we've got DShark's Joce, our purple Terran. In the top right, we're on Derelict Watcher, which is a much different map from Red City, which is where we saw game 1 on, and it's a great big open map. I mean, you've got all these huge expanses, totally going to make the playstyle for both players radically change. Todes is going to be able to use those Ultralisks and really rely more on the swarm mechanics of Zerg. Getting those surrounds, getting nice flanking maneuvers with his Zerglings. At the same time, Joce is going to have to rely more on positioning of his medevacs, using drops, and less being able to kind of power through with a lot of beefy, strong units. So have to rely more on mobile units. Maybe see some Hellions out there. Maybe we're going to see some medevac drops. I don't know. I do not know. Only time will tell. Once again, both players are very high masters, like 10 high masters on the EU server. And I don't know exactly what the scenario for this best of 3 is. I just know it is a best of 3, and that they're members of 2 opposite clans, so I don't know if it was a practice match or if this was a part of a clan battle. I don't know. I do not know. I know that the first game was great, and the second game's probably going to be good too, so I mean, we'll just kind of rely on that to guide us through the areas of unknown for this matchup. We have a 15 hatch going down from Todes. Probably going to be wrapping that up with a nice 15 pool immediately thereafter. Just very standard, especially on a map like this. We see the barracks also going down, and almost 400 minerals saved up for Joce, so expect for him to throw down a CC. He did it on the low ground last time. Don't see why he'd change his mind on this one, just because Derelict Watcher is also a huge map, very long rush distance. Even though you know where your opponent is going to spawn, it's still very large, and it's nice to have that flexibility and know that you can throw down the CC there, save yourself a couple of extra seconds. So yeah, he does elect to do that, a couple seconds behind my own typical timing. However, he definitely knows what he's doing. He's certainly showed me a couple of tricks on how to play Terran. Poking up there, just Todes sees the confirmation that indeed that CC has gone down. Remember, in the first game, Todes was very passive, electing to kind of play the macro game, but Joce, man, once he got his steam rolling, he is a tractor trailer that you cannot stop. This guy really caught a bunch of momentum and kind of just steamrolled Todes, and you really abusing the map's own corridors like that, having a really nice unit composition. Once he had those blue flamed Hellions up there, there was really nothing Todes could do to stop him. So, will Todes play more aggressive? I think that's the answer to this one. Can't really allow Joce to get up on equal footing with the Terran. Even once he had those 3 bases up, it was really difficult for Todes to do anything once all that infrastructure was up into place. But there was a lot of periods where Joce was very vulnerable. He had double evos going, double e-base going at a very fast clip very early. And because of that, I think that a timing attack from Todes could be incredibly cost effective. And Roachborn. Roachborn was something that we did not see in the first game, and it really usually you can see a Roachborn thrown down if Todes is more nervous about Joce throwing out a timing attack for himself. Defensive roaches are very cost effective. They're very mineral cheap and larva cheap, which is really what a panicking Zerg will rely upon during a surprise attack. So it could be that Todes feels the nerves and it still wants to take his third, but wants to have down just a little bit of extra protection in the form of that Roachborn. However, he has not produced that third just yet, and time's a wasting. He's also not going up for those 4 queens, and yes, throwing down a bunch of roaches. I think he's going to be aggressive with this. No need for a Baneling Nest, because there's absolutely nothing in the form of static defenses for Joce back here. Sometimes you need that Baneling Nest to blow up all the supply depots that have been constructed up on this high wall, but Joce, once again, he's playing it kind of close to his vest. He's getting that 3rd CC up. He's going to be very ill-suited to actually deal with this. Yeah, double E-base. He knows that this worked the first time. There's no reason for him to change it if Todes is going to be playing the same game. But this map is totally different from the first one, and Todes is showing us that a timing attack, he's not working on speed, he's not working on any upgrades at all. He's just powering out a buttload of roaches, a buttload of Zerglings, and they are going to be kind of congealing at the bottom of the ramp for that natural. Unfortunately for him, fortunately for Joce, Joce has seen that these roaches and zerglings are afield, immediately throwing down 2 extra supply depots, probably considering a third one with that SCV position there, just to help with this. Immediately pulling the SCVs, however, with just a single bunker filled with 4 Marines, that is not nearly enough DPS to take care of this sheer volume of zerglings, roaches, zerg units. It looks like Todes is going to succeed in sacking this natural, but this is going to be a tough nut to crack. He's got the Hellions there. He's got the supply depot wall. I don't know if Todes is going to be able to actually succeed in pushing up into the main, but he's done a lot of damage to the economy. He took out every single one of those workers that were down there. 9 workers killed. They all poking at the front door, but the Marauder there. Already the SCVs have been pulled to repair up that supply depot. Oh, it's actually targeting down the SCVs like that is actually a very clever play. Oh, but the Widowmine. Widowmine's too defensively positioned. Needs to push forward so it can actually shell down a lot of damage when the Zerglings decide to push up that ramp. Oh, wow. Joce being incredibly ballsy, lowering the supply depot for just a second to get his Widowmine's position there. It looks like everything is going to get cleaned up. I was wondering what those guys were attacking. There's no supply depot underneath it. But with that orbital command surviving, in all, Todes definitely came out ahead of this. I would love to see him throw down a hatchery behind this. I do not know why he hasn't elected to do that. It looks like he's going to be working on tech, actually, getting out that lair, doubling tapping, triple tapping the geysers back at home. And while he's got Joce kind of stuck on his natural, it looks like he's sprung a trap. His Zerglings are going to be sweeping in, but with those Widowmines there, he's going to be doing quite a lot of damage. Oh man, those roaches absorbing so much trouble. Whoa! 18? No, 18. 18 kills. Holy crap. The Todes was trying to absorb those Widowmine strikes with the roaches, and he was succeeding. He took 1, he took 2, and was not expecting the third to be positioned so far back. And his Zerglings came in at the perfectly wrong time, got just brutalized. Look at that. 1, and this guy's just such a badass. He doesn't even burrow. He's just going to be hanging out. 18 work. Oh my goodness, that is brutal. And with that, Todes is forced to retreat. Orbital command finally lands, takes back that natural. Looks like there's enough Marauders out there to deal with any roaches that could be coming out, but Todes is transitioning back more to a more familiar playstyle for him. Taking that third, he's got all 4 geysers going strong with the lair tech. Is going to be transitioning back to his initial playstyle. Oh my goodness, these Zerglings are not going to be trying for a run by. I hope he knows that that's suicide with all these Widowmines positioned at the top of that ramp. Right now, Joce is very much contained on just his 2 bases, and he's going to be thinking about, how do I manage to take a third? I really need to get out there and take a third, and I'm cramped right now. I don't feel comfortable. I need more economy. As things are going, his upgrades are looking nice. He's starting on +2 for the weapons. +1 armor is going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds, as is Stem. Spire is coming up for Todes, but because he invested so much into that aggression and did a lot of damage with it, he is behind on his own economy. His third is just now finishing. I mean, it's not even made yet, and there's no saturation at all. It looks like these Zerglings are going to succeed in pushing back these Hellions. In fact, are going to get us around and take them both down. But Joce sees that the third has not been constructed yet. I mean, it's just now finishing, just now getting saturated. 58 over 42 harvesters. I mean, that's a significant discrepancy in the harvester count. But if there's one unit race that can bounce back, it's a Terran on 3 orbital commands. He's going to be able to construct SCVs 3 at a time, throw down those mules, really not rely too heavily on his SCVs for mineral income, so he can actually afford to throw down a lot of tech. That being said, Joce is basically a ticking time bomb. He needs to get out there and do some counter aggression of himself. His Hellions have done nothing, and any thought for pushing out with more Hellions really is going to meet with a similar fate. Oh man, Joce cannot catch a break. He is trying to do just drop after drop, or aggression after aggression, and every single one is being cut to pieces. Those Mutalisks have identified that those Widowmines are there. Oh, one of them does succeed in burrowing. Will it get off a strike? 3 drones go down from that Widowmine. 4 drones, but did not get a strike on those Mutalisks. You need about 9 Mutalisks to take down the Widowmines before it can actually discharge, and even though Mutalisks don't have superior range to the Widowmines, they actually fire so very, very fast that they can kill the Widowmines before it shoots off a mine strike. So something to keep in mind as we don't see too many Mutalisks out on the field. Oh, there's 9 of them. There is 9 of them. Nice. Only 5 of them here, though. Or 6, whatever. I can count. It looks like Joce is going to be pushing off down to the bottom right-hand side, thinking about taking his third as the Mutalisks sweep into the top left, thinking about doing just a little bit of damage, a little bit of extra damage to the economy. Weird to not see any missile turrets here, even though Joce saw those Mutalisks so very long ago, and he's going to be paying a bit of a price with it. Those Mutalisks having a free reign on all these SCVs. Oh, and even worse, forcing the pullback from Joce, forcing him to come back and actually defend his SCVs as even more of them go down. 24 workers killed total. Switch back to the economy. 46 over 68. And now Zerg is up on 4 bases. That 4th has been constructed right at the same time. The 3rd attempts to land down on that Zergling. Finally, Joce has stabilized enough to actually pull down there. Do we see any missile turrets? Yeah, 3 being constructed. All of them in the main. This one already has 2, but I guess he just didn't expect those Mutalisks to make their way down into the main. Actually do damage to that economy. Wow, Hive already on the way. There's a very fast Hive for how much gas Todes has been investing in his Mutalisks. Oh, what is in this? Hellions? Oh yeah, it's got to be Hellions. Yeah, the Hellbat drop coming out. Remember, those Hellbats have been nerfed. However, they still do quite a lot of damage whenever you consider how very fragile drones are. Oh, but Todes scouting them out with his Zerglings and then crushing them with the Mutalisks. Unfortunately for Joce, didn't engage those boosters in time to actually escape the vision from those Mutalisks. 4th has been... Oh no, a counter drop. Counter drop not doing any damage. A nice pullback. How many workers, if any, did he lose? No. Still on the 3 workers killed, so Joce did not succeed in taking out anything on that. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Todes being constantly aggressive, keeping Joce back on the back foot. And because of that, Joce is in trouble. I mean, his economy's okay. His upgrades are definitely top drawer. He just needs seconds to stabilize, seconds to get out the units that he needs to get out the army that he needs to actually engage Todes in a fair one-on-one fight. And if Todes allows that to happen, he'll lose the advantage that he's actually gleaned earlier on in this game. So Joce is actually trying to force some sort of engagement. It looks like it's going to consist purely of Banelings. Holy crap. Half of the Mutalisks just melt away. 3-3, not quite done, but those 2-2 Marines definitely doing the damage necessary to crush them. So many Banelings. There is no surround at all. It looks like the splitting from Joce is definitely top drawer, really making it so it's incredibly cost effective, and looks like he's going to be saving maybe none of his Marines. Yeah, it looks like every single one of them is going to be going down to those. Just a huge number of Banelings. However, with those Mutalisks suffering that massive strike earlier on from those Marines, really just a misstep on that one from Todes, because like you just saw how fast those Marines shredded them, and that is a devastating loss, because Todes, if he still had those 9 Mutalisks up, he'd be able to come in here and missile turrets be damned, be able to do a ridiculous amount of damage. Right now, Todes has to rebuild everything. He's got to rebuild his entire army, and yeah, he's wasting money on Mutalisks that he'd want to save for the Ultralisk. We see the Ultralisk Cavern is coming up. He's kind of behind on upgrades. I'm surprised to see him just now starting +2. I would expect him to be starting 3 right whenever those Ultralisks would be coming out. However, definitely on top of his Carapace. That'll be +3. Maybe even he'll start on the Chitinous plating once the Ultralisk Cavern is done. And those Ultralisks, they might not do as much damage as you would expect, but they'll never die, ever. Especially against the primarily Marine force. Even if they're up on +3 weapons and +3 armor is going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds. Banelings on creep equal a lot of dead Marines. Joce being very frisky once again, and just once again, great splitting from him, making it so that those Banelings are not doing as much damage as you would expect. However, it's definitely enough damage to keep Joce back. Todes is going to clean this up with just a swell of Zerglings behind this, and these Marines are probably going to have to stem again if Todes wants to cut them down, and Joce needs to save them. And you know, on the back of this base is actually kind of exposed. There goes the Zergling run by, but no, quick. Oh, where was that? Where was that? Oh, I didn't even see that Widowmine with another 8 kills, taking out all those Zerglings. Only a handful of them actually make their way into the mineral line, and it looks like Joce is going to reinforce that area. Neither player doing a lot of economic damage, but just exchanging blow after titanic blow, just blowing through each other's army. However, this is a little bit in the favor of Todes, because he's now got those Ultralisks up. In the last map, we saw that there were so many narrow chokes that Todes had to rely on the Greater Spire tech. Not being able to use those Ultralisks because they were, so very narrow chokes, not as cost effective as you would expect. Now he's got another map to play with. Now he's got a lot of open areas, and he's going to be able to get a lot of surrounds. He's already got 3 out. He's got another 2 on the way. Chitinous plating is going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds. That's totally what Todes is waiting for. He was going to pull back, allow a little bit of his creep to recede, and he's going to push forward the second Joce feels like he needs to push out. Here it comes. Chitinous plating. Oh my goodness, 7 seconds away, but that's okay. He doesn't need it to actually crush this entire force from Joce. And yeah, the Zerglings are taking massive strikes from all those Marines, but man, those Ultras shred everything so very, very quickly. 5 more Ultras on the way, plus 3 weapons on the way, 3 more hatcheries. Holy crap. One of them's a macro hatch, but that's okay. His economy's going to be booming. And yeah, this is great for Todes. He's got a good economy up. He's keeping Terran contained. What can Joce do to get back into this, though? I mean, he's throwing down a lot of CCs, throwing down a lot of mech. He needs to rely pretty much exclusively on... what I would do is a Hellion and Marauder hybrid force. So you have the Hellions to take care of the Zerglings, which support the Ultras, and then you just rely purely on the Marauders to shell down the extra damage on those Ultralisks. You've seen how very quickly Marauders can shred Ultralisks. They die very, very fast. Joce has the infrastructure in place to actually support this. Yeah, he'll need to move a couple of his factories from tech labs to reactors and vice versa to make it so you can get out enough of those, but little drops here and there is not going to do enough damage to get him back into this. Still just the 3 workers killed for Joce. Todes has been very resilient in this matchup, and Joce needs to start thinking of another way, and really he's going to be thinking about surviving. He needs to not only do damage, but also keep his force alive to make it so that Todes can't just 1A into his main base, because one more devastating strike, and Todes is going to be able to just walk all over the grave of Joce. Here comes another huge fight happening on creep. Nice hot pickup. Will he be doing something with that medevac? We'll have to keep an eye out on it, but the stutter step micro is just not enough against this sheer number of Ultralisks. There goes the hot pickup, dropping them off to see if they can do some damage to the economy, but the Ultras, oh no, I thought those Ultralisks were on their way up there. Look at that nice decision making to actually target down those units, but at the same time, okay, here come the Ultralisks, finally trundling and finally cutting them to pieces. But it looks like Todes has spread himself just a little bit too thin. Will Joce have the no, he doesn't, the APM to actually target them down? It would have been nice to see a stim and actually try to take care of those 4 Ultralisks, because that represents a healthy chunk of Todes' supply. Here we see a lot more Marauders being added into this mix, still relying on those Hellbats. Did he manage to get the blue flame? He did. So those Hellbats are going to be very resilient against those Zerglings. I like this unit composition. Joce has made a good decision to get out this unit composition. However, he just doesn't have the economy to keep pace with, 20 base Zerg right now. Todes is kind of steamrolling out of control just like Joce did in the first game, and this is going to come to a head very, very quickly. +3/+3 for both players is totally done, but those Ultralisks, even though they're not supported by the Zerglings, they are supported by Banelings, and they're going to be pushing in and just doing so much splash damage. Really great splitting from Joce, but what can you do against the sheer number of Ultralisks? Good hits from those Banelings too. Finally, all the Marauders have gone down, and it looks like the Ultralisks are just going to be snacking on Marines for the foreseeable future. SCVs being pulled, never a good idea against Ultralisks. But really, what can you do? Joce is down twice as much supply. He's losing bases in pretty much every corner of the map, and I expect fully for him to tap out. What can Joce do differently in the next game? Choose a map that has a lot of chokes, because he does so very, very well at positioning his units. Very, very smart decision making on when does he choose to engage. The best way to use his units. He's great at choosing the correct composition. It's just in this particular matchup, he got behind the 8 ball economically speaking, and even though he had a great army to deal with the army coming out of Todes, he did not have the economy to support that army. If this had been a straight up even match, I don't know which way it would have gone. If that 200-200 supply from Todes had gone face to face with a 200-200 supply from Joce, which consisted exclusively of Marauders and Hellions, this would have been radically different. As things are now, Todes is still totally maxed out. He's just waiting for the last trickle of Zerglings and Banelings to come back in. His Ultralisks have been through the ringer. Man, they are very, very weak right now, but it looks like Joce is going to be pushing out with absolutely everything he's got. even some SCVs. How many SCVs does he have right now? 13. Oof, not much of an economy. But that's okay because this is an all-in. This is a desperation play. But really, I mean, it doesn't really matter where he chooses to engage because this could turn into a base race and Todes would totally win. But no, it looks like Todes is actually going to be pushing in a bit of a choke, but it doesn't really matter when you have this sheer number of banelings. There goes the explosion, and those ultralisks are just making mincemeat out of everything that Joce got left. This is game. We're going to move on to game 3 in just a couple of seconds when Joce does decide to tap out. I think Todes made a wise decision to be aggressive early on. That Baneling bust definitely did a hell of a lot of damage early on, making it so that Joce was behind the 8-ball, and then Todes just kind of capitalized on it. That being said, Joce played very well considering the deficit that he was put in early on, and he's also just excellent decision maker, man. He really can read what Todes is doing and knows the appropriate response. That was a right decision to get out those Hellbats, right decision to get out those Marauders, and that would have won him the game if he had the economy, if he wasn't on just 2 bases. So this is really shaping up to be a great third game. Will Todes continue to stay aggressive and be able to put Joce on the back foot and capitalize on that? Or will Joce recapture his initial vigor and just be able to steamroll into victory like he did in game 1? I don't know the answer, but you might if you've seen game 3 before. Because why are you watching these out of order? I don't know. But thank you for watching them anyway. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.